This episode of the Totally Rad Show is brought to you by HostGator. Arr, arr. Coming up, we've been chomping at the bit for some more Game of Thrones goodness, and luckily, Season 2 just started. Totally Rad Show.
Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad Show.
So we are back in TV. Last year, we saw HBO's television series Game of Thrones, based on one of Jeff's favorite book series of all times, Game of Thrones.
Song of Ice and Fire.
Well, Song of Ice and Fire. Right. Well, you know, whatever. Potato, potato. George R. R. Martin's giant books. You guys loved it. I enjoyed it. We nominated it and awarded it the Totally Rad TV show of the year in 2011. It is now back for season 2.
So a lot of pressure with that kind of.
Yeah.
That kind I don't know how George held up. I'm surprised. Yeah.
We got a lot of emails from Mr. Martin.
Yeah.
Not the guy who made the book, but
Brad Martin.
Brad Martin.
Like,
yeah, we chatted a lot about it. So I'm gonna start with Dan. What did you think of the first episode of season 2 for Game of Thrones?
I don't have much to say other than I love it. I love the show. I love it. I love it. No. I mean, a show that Dan said would never happen. Never gonna happen. True. Almost didn't. I just love it. I also, funny enough, not funny enough, but also the premiere of The Killing came out the same night. Yep. Watched that show, enjoyed it, but was very lost watching The Killing. I had a hard time remembering
who was what,
and who was killed, and who was killing. Yeah, right. But Game of Thrones, which I would have thought would have been far more dense and complicated, and has way more characters.
Mm-hmm. And we're getting lots of new ones.
And there was, and I followed it completely, was enthralled from the get-go, and loved every second that every character had, and felt because the characters are so strongly painted in the first, but then also right from the get-go, they have such big grand moments in every scene that I found it completely cogent, but also loved it. And it's interesting too because I was listening to, I don't know if you heard Michael Cera on the What the Fuck?
I haven't yet read it yet. I listened to it yet.
It's very good. But he was talking about the Arrested Development TV. The reason why they're doing the Arrested Development TV series potentially on Netflix, although I thought maybe we heard that wasn't going to happen now. But
no, that was the other thing. That was Terra Nova.
Oh, right.
That was Terra Nova.
So before the movie of Arrested Development, because Mitch Hurwitz the creator felt that, geez, we're going to spend, if you have 5 minutes on every character, the beginning of the movie, it's already like 40 minutes in the movie just to catch you up on what the characters have been doing.
Yeah.
That being said, Game of Thrones did that really well in one hour-long episode. They didn't need, an episode per person on that show. I loved it so much I went on the app, the HBO app, because it said at the end of the show, like, interactive app, whatever that has. Really?
Wow, you actually did that.
Really cool.
Somebody has done that now.
I didn't have to watch the entire episode. I just went, like, kind of skipped through the episode and went, oh, that's where that person is. And especially if you don't read the books, you go, oh, that's how they're related to that thing.
Well, that's one of the big things that I think that has always been true, and one of my big sort of gripes was, there's so much richness, that there's so much that we didn't even see in the first episode, or the first season, that's in that book. The sort of standard thing from Jeff was every time we'd be like, well, so what's going on with that? Just wait. Oh, it gets good. You know what I mean?
Speaking of wait.
There must be a lot of interactive crap because it's like, here's all this backstory that exists in the book.
But it's not like, it's not like an appendage in like the Lord of the Rings where it's like a whole footnote of thing. It's very brief and it's succinct. And by the way, appendix.
Like an arm sticking out.
Thank you for correcting that.
I liked appendage.
But special effects. Someone walking around with a dragon on her shoulder. It wasn't like locked off, like shot of dragon, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, look, I mean, like.
That was my big worry. That was my big worry is
You even said that, yeah.
I
was
did,
how
yeah.
it's gonna get.
Is that, are they gonna, just by virtue of the fact that it's television, are they gonna have to cheap out, and is it gonna feel, but it doesn't feel like that
not
at all.
even compared to movies.
And in fact, you didn't even need to have her have a dragon in that shot. You could have just, she could have referenced the fact, dragon's in the cage over there, no big deal.
Yeah, good
you know,
point,
but
So what did you think, season 2?
Well, as you know, I'm in love. I worship these books. I think they're so beautifully written, and as you said, such rich characters. And I'm constantly blown away that the TV show isn't backing away from any of the complexity that's in the book. This is very, very faithful. The first episode messes with a lot of ordering of things from the second book, which is called The Clash of Kings. For example, all the stuff where we get to the stuff on the beach with the fire with Melisandre, and we meet Stannis and Davos. That's all the prelude to the book. That's all that happens. You meet Crescent, and he tries to poison her and all that stuff. That's the prelude. So we hit that much deeper into the episode, which I thought was an interesting reordering. The thing I am so blown away how rich the details are that they stick in the television show for the readers of the book. I wonder if some of the interactive stuff points this out, because like the fact that it's a white raven that Cersei gets, which Cersei doesn't get that, but the fact that like white raven only comes from the place where the
winter, something about winter. The ravens mean winter or something.
It means winter's over.
Yeah.
It means
Yeah,
winter's over, and it's
like
only
the,
sent from
Groundhog of
where the maesters are trained at the Citadel. That's the only place that sends out white ravens, and they're larger, and it like actually was larger. Awesome. The table that Stannis is sitting around when we meet him, like they made the table that Aegon the Conqueror created. You would miss it if you didn't know to look for it, but it's this weird uneven table that everyone's sitting around that's like notoriously uneven. It's like
I noticed that table.
So badass. And there's like a history to that in the book, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't need to put that in the. There's no, you know.
It didn't look like a table that we have. We have wood tables today, and they had wood tables in medieval times.
Yeah.
This was like someone like chopped down a effed up tree that.
Well, it's actually
back then you just eat on a tree.
Yeah.
Because you have to eat on
on a
things.
tree.
It's actually a stone table that
Back then,
is
as
like a
if it-
map that
that
Aegon the
existed.
Conqueror made. It's
I
it's
see.
so awesome.
I see.
And this show is great about casting. I love the casting. I'm a little worried about Stannis just because I'm not sure he looks like enough of a badass for me, because Stannis is a badass. And Davos Seaworth, who is the guy that walks over and picks up the sword in that episode, he's going to be a big character, and he is the actor perfect, but he almost looks more badass than Stannis, which like can't really be.
Well, I would say that to that point, no one looks as badass as they ever become. Like whenever I never like. I always feel like, I never know someone's a significant character
Until they do
moments
badass things,
happen.
yeah.
Everyone kind of looks bearded and thin.
Looks
and, you know.
bearded
And it's interesting too that
weird
we,
and
No one's
British.
like bad at, you know.
it's interesting too that we're only
sure what I
getting
mean.
to
Yeah, even the Hound isn't like
Yeah.
a lumbering oaf.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that he was
Right.
significant.
Yeah.
we only get to Arya at the very end of this episode.
Oh my God, that moment is amazing.
And I think the thing we were worried about with her wig doesn't seem to be a problem anymore. I think it's her actual hair now. But that's all stuff that like the second chapter of the second book is Arya. We're with her right at the beginning of the book, and pushing that to the end I thought was really interesting. Like I'm fascinated with how they're adapting stuff, and the relationship between Cersei and Joffrey is so much more focused on. Like it's really interesting what they're doing with the television show.
Well,
I love it.
Supposedly George R. R. Martin said that this season, more than last season, is a lot unlike the book.
Yeah,
It's
well-
very unlike the book.
So, I mean,
Which
there are
you
scenes
kind
that-
of have to do. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's a television series. It's not a book. It's not a
Right.
staged reading of a giant, thick fantasy tome.
But it's
You know
very
what I mean?
faithful to the
Yeah.
plot.
Yeah, I too enjoyed it. There's still like this weird thing where I get bored watching it, but I like it. It's very weird. I mean, it's really weird. It's almost like
That's how I feel about others too.
yeah,
because-
it has this weird thing of like, in retrospect, when I think back to sort of what happened, I was like, oh yeah, that was pretty cool. Oh yeah, that was pretty cool. But for some reason, when I'm sitting watching it, I just am bored, and I don't know what it is. There's just something that's not clicking for me. But again, I'm glad that we gave it the best show of the year. I think it's I'm happy that that we have a show that's not like, Merlin or The Seeker, Legend of the Seeker, which is just like not super high budgeted quality fantasy. You know what I mean? Where you get that thing where you're like, well, it's fantasy. I mean, it looks like not good, but I'm taking it because I want that fantasy fix. I love that we're getting the sort of true to the material fantasy fix.
Well, I always call it, mistakenly say, it's like medieval times or I always feel like it's a historical show, but because it feels like a movie like Kingdom of Heaven or Elizabeth, or like it feels like one of those historical epics.
It's like
even though it's
Downton
about
Abbey
a fictional
in the Middle
thing, which is something that Lord of the Rings they always say, we want to make Middle Earth the way, like as if it like existed and then dilapidated, but they always feel like high fantasy, and this show feels like a legitimate historical thing with smidges. I mean, something you always describe the book how the high fantasy is just on the edges, and that's the most exciting thing because there's such a it's so like oh my god, there's dragons. Like that's what gets me so excited in the scenes is like when she's son of a dragon, and like when they say that when they're talking about religion stuff, it's not analogous to. I mean, there are analogs to the way we think about religion,
right? But the chick can drink poison and be fine.
It really is. It really, when they talk about our gods, whatever, like, they're really, like the comet in the sky, like, that really means something that isn't whatever, and, Do you watch Alone?
What?
Do you watch the show Alone?
Yeah.
I just find that there's so many.
I know. I was like, do I watch the show
I was just thinking.
Alone?
I wonder if you were watching.
I watch Awake.
I was
pants.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you were watching with someone that would get you more engrossed because.
Well, I'm actually gonna go. My buddy throws a Game of Thrones party every Sunday, and I couldn't go this Sunday. I'm gonna go next Sunday, just to see if that changes the experience.
Charge it, and there also might be people that fill in gaps for you when you're not.
Yeah.
If you miss a story, they go, "Oh, so the thing." You go, "Oh, that's connected."
Yeah.
But I just find myself to have so many so many moments where I'm like, even not just big revelations, but every moment, every other scene, there's like a. Like to the person you're watching with, like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It makes me so glad to hear you say that you don't feel overwhelmed by the machination. There's a lot of political machinations happening.
They do that very well because even I, who fast forwarded through a lot of season 1, I watched.
My heart a little.
I watched just the boring bits, but I watched the first episode of season 2, and I knew exactly what was going on. I mean,
the thing
that's important.
I wonder about it is there are so many. He's so wonderful at making moments where, if only they had just done one thing slightly different, everything would be changed. And you feel the impact of it. I think reading, but I wonder if you like when Crescent tries to poison Melisandre in the first first episode, if she had been killed right there, everything would be different. There's so many moments like if one person had done one thing different, it just slightly different, the whole flow of stuff.
There's a frustration with that, where you're like, oh no, if only.
Right, and they talk so much like Tyrion talks so much in this episode and in the book too about how if you only had just not killed somebody, that. Things would have been so much easier. We would have had stuff we could trade. We could have kept the peace. Everything would have been cool. But because you were a brash in one moment and wanted to be a big man, you effed everything up. Yeah. And I love that. It feels like, Well,
that's I used to always say. It's like that the show excels on overwhelmingly frustrating you and a cathartic release of justice being served, and then that push-pull.
So it's very good. Season 2 has begun, as it were. I'm sure we'll be talking about it once the season has ended. So until then, enjoy it. All right, everybody, be sure to stick around. We're going to be showing you some lovely outtakes from this week of shooting. But first, we want to thank our sponsor of shouting. HostGator! HostGator.com can get your blog or website up and running in just minutes with plans starting at just $3.96 a month. You get 24/7 support.
Because $3.97 would be too much.
Way too much. Why would they charge that?
Right.
You can get 24/7 support and access to website building tools with over 4,000 templates. They'll even migrate your current site over to them for free. The servers, as we have said, are 130% powered by wind energy, which is more than enough energy to cover your servers. Unlimited disk space and bandwidth, 45-day money-back guarantee, $100 Google AdWords credit to market your site, There really isn't a reason why not to switch over. For Revision 3 viewers, HostGator is offering 25% off your order, or your first month is completely free. Just go to HostGator.com and enter the coupon code TotallyRadShow when you check out. Do it.
You know what they call that when you when there's so much wind energy that you break through 100%?
Pass wind.
Come on. Break wind.
Everybody get your computers a break wind. Have a good weekend. What the?
Can you read that?
I can now that I got my glasses back on. Actually.
Netflix. Carbonite.
Can you?
Yeah.
Go scroll to a part that we don't know. He knows Squarespace. And make it as small as possible and
got
make it
bad
bigger so we
news for
can
you,
see
Dan.
it. Right now, I can read
There's
all
no
that.
part we don't
Okay,
know.
You can't read that, right? I can't read
Don't
that.
tell me what I can and can't
All right.
do. Wait for it. Here we go. Drum roll, please.
I definitely can't read that.
Pick a line. Mike, tell us where the bottom,
Wait,
the
wait,
last
wait.
sentence. We're looking at the last sentence. The very last
The
sentence.
last sentence. Okay.
Cannot
hold on.
read it.
Here we go. Shh. I'm gonna fucking get myself a
All right,
headache.
one
or
more-
not.
one layer
Here we go, hold
bigger.
on. I need that. No. I just need to get the lights out of my eyes.
And you can't infer what the word
Nope,
is.
here we
talking
go.
about when it's not fuzzy. It's not about like, do you know the word? You know, like from
I don't.
being human.
The first word is it's there's a something for.
But it's not clear.
It's crystal clear. It's just really small.
Is it crystal clear to you, Jeff?
There's a
Yeah.
way for you.
Yeah, come here, Mike. There's no way.
No. I got it. My hands are now in the way of myself.
The words are not crystal.
You need the words are
They're just-
crystal. You need
I hope
to.
you're recording this because we're staring at
Can you
them.
read the last?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, let me go in the center.
You
too.
head to.
I can't.
There's a wait list job.
Waitlist job.
There's a waitlist job.
It's a waitress
anyway,
job.
I needed better glasses, or I needed my contacts weren't working.
This is terrible.
Go
See, I can read. It says
go one
code
layer.
zero.
Go one-
No,
go
don't worry about
I
it.
can
Let's
read
just
code
go.
zero also.
No, forget it. Let's just do this. We got.
All I know is there's a waitress job.
Let's do it. Yeah. All right, everybody. All right, everybody. Here we go. All right, everybody. Be sure to stick around. We're going to be showing you a little sneak peek. No, a snack pack. Here we go.
Look back, sneak.
All right, people. See you tomorrow.
That was like sky rockets in flight. Afternoon delight.
Oh, sorry.
You know what? I hope you guys.
You should have known as soon as you started singing.
Rolling, 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 rolling. Come on!
Three rad bros first met 5. Oh my god, I got a call.
All right, everybody, stick around. We're going to be answering one of your Twitter.
A twister question.
question. There-
Is it red foot left red?
Red foot, left red. You know what the
I haven't
answer to
played
that
that in a while.
Twister question? No.
Clearly, I've not played Twister in a very long time.
I haven't played that in a
No,
while.
what you said was garbage.
It was pretty funny when you said twister question.
That's awesome. All right, here we go. Ready?
Today's Twitter question comes to us from @Ilya Smolensky. Sorry.
Yes, that's
blanked.
right.
I know. I like.
You just read the words.
I said his name, then I thought, whose Twitter handle? Like I was like, kind of like
Yeah.
how yours was, and I realized
Yeah,
that
sounds
is
fair.
what his name is.
Yeah. Here we go.
Today's Twitter question is sent to Swin.
Boobs or butt?
Oh, what?
Martin Bre.
Whoa!